Hey guys, I'm back. And for all of you first-time listeners, this is Freedom Radio coming at you loud and proud just outside DC. Now, for all my usuals, I know you've missed me for the last 3 days, but I've returned like MacArthur. With good news, I was talking to Brian Kaplan, one of my old economics professors at GMU, and the discussion was on immigration. And during the discussion, he mentions that he and a few others have finished a website dedicated to the case for open borders. Now, we're very libertarian on this station here, and so we're very pro-open borders. Naturally, my reaction was joy, because the libertarian point on this it isn't very organized. We're like outcasts almost. So for him to do this is a big deal. Because now people have to confront the information on that website. They can't just say, oh, we don't know where to find your arguments at. No, now this website's out and you can't run from it. Anyway, now being a big-time talk radio host, I told him bluntly that I was going to advertise his website in my next show, which is right now. Naturally, he was excited, so let's hope I don't butcher this. First things first, to get to the website, you can just do what I do, and that's go to the god of the internet, Google, type in his name, Brian Kaplan, and put the word immigration right after that. That's Brian with a Y, not an I, so keep that in mind. And it's the very first link on the top of your Google search results, so just click on that and then you'll see it, and it says Open Borders, the case, and then you're there. So why is this website so good? Well, it has tons of references, first of all. Blog sites, debate videos, and almost all the research that Brian has gone through to formulate his opinion is present through this site, which is incredible to say the least. Think about that. All the information that he made to formulate his point is just open access? That's crazy. Anyway, I would love to go on and on about this site, but we have limited time, so I just compiled a list of my favorite Kaplan arguments, and I think they'll be appropriate for our show. And then afterwards, we'll take a few callers, and we'll get some of your opinions on this. So without further ado, here's some of Brian Kaplan.
All right, this is my 4-step case for open borders. Step 1. Immigration laws deny very basic human rights. The right to accept a job offer from a willing employer, and the right to rent an apartment from a willing landlord. The predictable results for people born on the wrong side of the border are poverty and worse. This creates a strong moral presumption against immigration restriction. 2, to overcome this presumption, you'd have to show that free immigration has consequences so awful that they'd clearly overshadow the horrible consequences of restriction. Furthermore, you'd have to show that there isn't any cheaper, more humane way to avert these consequences. 3, the best social science finds that the alleged downsides of immigration are greatly overstated at best and often the opposite of the truth. For starters, immigrants make Americans and the world much richer. This is probably the strongest result from all public policy analysis in terms of if there's one policy that would change the wealth of the world, it is open borders. Standard estimate is it would double the wealth of the world. Essentially, right now, what we are doing is keeping most of the world in Antarctica. They are in countries where their labor productivity is nowhere near what it could be. If they could move to places where their labor are productive, they would be much richer and the world would be much richer. Similarly, immigrants, in terms of the effect on tax and benefits, immigrants pay about as much in taxes as they use in benefits. There's various estimates for where it goes, but there's no credible estimate showing that immigrants are a large fiscal burden. 4th, so even in worst-case scenarios, there are cheaper, more humane remedies for whatever problems that immigration is supposed to inflict upon us. For example, if you really do think that immigrants are a serious fiscal burden, you don't have to prevent immigration in order to solve that problem. Just make them ineligible for benefits. If this seems cruel, it is far less cruel than forcing people to remain in Haiti.
You said that, you mentioned in your opening remarks that generally we're going to be wealthier, right? That immigration, low-skilled, low-wage earning immigration helps the economy. Does it help all parts of the economy? If I'm a low-skilled, low-wage native earner right in the United States, do I want to see a flood of low-skilled wage earners come in as well?
There's a lot of good research on this. The main result is that high school dropouts, native high school dropouts, seem to lose from low-skilled immigration. Everybody else either gains or has very little effect. So are there some people who lose? Sure. I lose when we let in professors from other countries. Is this a good reason to keep them out? I don't think so. I don't think the fact that there's someone who loses is a justification for saying that a person has to stay in Haiti. It is all out of proportion to what the harm is. And in any case, if you really were worried about the effects of immigration on native workers, there is a much cheaper, more humane alternative, which, by the way, I do not favor, but it's way better than what we do. And that alternative is to say we're going to charge you an entry fee to come here, or we're going to charge you a surtax on your taxes, and we're going to use that money to compensate native-born Americans who do this out. If you think that's unfair, I say that is less unfair than what we do right now, which is saying you can't come no matter what. Sure. I care about my children far more than I care about other Americans or other human beings. I love my children, and yet there are many things I will not do to help them. I will not steal from other people to help my children. I won't try to get other kids kicked out of school so my kids can be the best kids in the class. I won't because it seems wrong. The fact that you love someone and care more about them is a reason to make sure that you are treating other people fairly. And that is precisely what immigration laws do not do. Immigration laws are not about saying we're going to take care of Americans as long as we're treating other people fairly. It's about saying we're going to take care of Americans no matter what the cost will be imposed on other people.
Well, there you have it. Those were a few clips of Professor Kaplan. If you want the full videos, they're all from the ones posted on his website, which I can't encourage you enough to visit. So make sure that you do. All right, let's take some calls now from some of our callers. First caller, you're on the line.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Hey, I like what you're talking about, but I'm concerned about overly opening the immigration borders with Mexico. They have a bad history with drug cartels and other types of criminals coming in, and I want to know how will the government be able to stop this influx of these guys if they have a largely uncontrolled border with Mexico? Shouldn't any immigration reform consider this serious problem?
Well, I don't think anyone's denying that the Mexican border is filled with drug cartels and other people that may be harming our economy. But if your answer to this is that immigration is the cause of these gangs, then I would encourage you to look at several pieces of works. One is called Bootleggers and Baptists, which signals that it's not immigration but prohibition that makes a black market and literally a market for gangsters to thrive off of. So if you really are concerned with the gangs selling drugs and dope on the streets and then shooting people on the block, then you should be more concerned with changing the drug laws in this country, because that's how they get their funding. And the only reason they're here is because they can make a lot of money off of it here. And so my answer to that is this is not an immigration issue. This will go away if you change the drug laws, and it will not be prevalent even with expanded immigration. All right, let's get to another caller. Caller number 2, you are on the line.
Hi, I'm calling because I'm worried about terrorism. How are you going to stop terrorists coming in and bombing our cities? How do you know who is crossing the border if you're not monitoring it? I'm concerned about another terrorist attack like 9/11.
I think there's a difference between monitoring a border and allowing a certain quota of immigrants into this country. Currently, we're only allowing 1 million immigrants each year. This isn't a question of monitoring the border, but just allowing a greater number of people to come in peacefully without us booting them out. And the reason they come across the border illegally is because we don't let them come in legally. It's not like they just don't want an ID card. We literally have bans against them that can take Canadians up to 8 years just to get into this country.
Well, I don't like how you don't seem to want to screen the border and screen the people coming into this country. We need to stop terrorists from coming in.
Well, I think there are two problems that I can immediately see. The first is that you seem to be willing to punish people in nations who have no ill will towards the Americans. If your goal is really just stopping terrorists, then why do you have the same quotas against people in Great Britain, against people in France, against people in Canada and Australia? What have these people done to us? Are they terrorists too? Should we ban them as well? And the second problem that I see with your argument is that it's based off the premise of guilt by association and a guilty before being proven innocent mentality. both of which seem rather un-American to me, and neither argument seems compelling enough to justify letting millions of people stay in countries where they make under $1 a day simply out of fear of a minor fraction of the world's population being anti-free world. Anyway, we have a third caller by the name of Stephen Holmes, but we seem to be out of time, so sorry about that, Stephen. We don't have time to answer your questions. Maybe next time. I do hope you guys enjoyed the show, and make sure you sign into that Brian Kaplan website. I cannot implore that enough. And this is Freedom Radio, signing out.